This is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. On Sunday the 21st of July, families gathered in a park near Ladbroke Grove. There were family activities and food was being served and people were just making the most of the good weather that we'd been having. But at 7:20 PM on the 21st, a 15-year-old boy was shot dead in Ladbroke Grove. This was right next to where the event was taking place, and this, of course, caused a lot of devastation to the family and friends of this young man. Police have identified the victim as Rene Graham. He was killed in Pleasance Park at around 7:20, and Detective Chief Inspector Christina Jessah said that a young boy has tragically lost his life and his family are having to deal with this devastating news. The local community is also shocked and horrored, and thank you to Dave Nathan for his coverage from the scene that shows a large cordon in place and the investigation that is still in the early stages. 4 men, 2 of them aged 21 years old and others aged 20 and 24, were arrested on suspicion of murder. They have since been bailed pending further inquiries. An earlier update incorrectly stated that 6 people were arrested. So this is a devastating story that has emerged from West London, and our thoughts are with the families of those that are affected. And we'll definitely keep you updated on anything to do with this story, and rest in peace to Rene Graham. Staying in London for some other news and update into a story that I covered last year. It is an update into the murder of Kai McGinley. Some of you may remember that we covered this story a year ago on the channel, and he was shot dead in a very nice area. He was in a Mini Cooper. He was rammed off the road. It's now been revealed that there was potentially 2 shotguns used to murder him. The jury heard that at 9:15 on the 9th of February 2023, police were called to reports of shots fired on Pembroke Road in Erith. An investigation was launched after a man was found shot in the chest and died of his injuries. He was 24 years old, and despite the best efforts of the emergency services, there was nothing they could do to save him. It was discovered by the police during the investigation that a Land Rover deliberately struck the Mini and it came off the road. The men in the Land Rover jumped out of the vehicle and it was severely damaged. And then more men in another car, a Peugeot, also got out, and they fired one of potentially 2 shotguns at close range at the group who was inside the Mini. Kai was pronounced dead at the scene, and there was 2 other passengers, and they managed to escape with only minor injuries. The police used CCTV investigation, and detectives were able to trace the men's steps. It was revealed that following the murder, the group hid in a garage that belonged to Bradley Reeve, one of those who was convicted, and they waited for a family member to come and get them. 7 people were charged with the murder in March and September of 2023, and they have just been convicted this week. Bradley Reeve, 34 years old from Erith, was convicted of murder in Section 18 and jailed for 33 years minimum. Enrico Spanu from Belvedere was convicted of murder in Section 18 and sentenced to a minimum of 29 years. Kai Osibodu from Erith was convicted of murder in Section 18 and jailed for at least 30 years. J. Lees Gangera from Erith was jailed for manslaughter and given 9.5 years. Connor Brooks from Erith was jailed for manslaughter and was sentenced to 12 years. And Charlie Braybon, 19, from Erith was jailed for 9 years for manslaughter. And finally, Anthony Walder from Erith was jailed for murder for a minimum of 29 years. Detective Inspector Stephen Payne said, "The evidence gathered and presented during the trial left the jury with no doubt that these men were guilty of a sinister plan to murder Kai McGinley. We believed there was a dispute over drugs, and they decided the only retribution that was suitable would be for Kai to die. It was extremely sad and senseless that Kai lost his life. He was part of a close and loving family that miss him every day, and our thoughts remain with them during this difficult time." So during the investigation, they discovered motives and also grievances between the 2 different groups, and reasons as to why they wanted to murder Kai. This is never justified, of course, but at the same time, the family at least got some answers as to why he was killed, because in so many cases, the families and friends don't even have any real justification as to why anything occurred. So I want to send my condolences to the family and friends of Kai. Thank you for joining me and following me through this story for the past year, and also to Dave Nathan as well for his coverage from the scene. As always, impeccable. And staying in London for some more updates in relation to the King's speech that occurred on the 17th of July. Dozens of members of pro-Palestinian protest group Youth Demand were arrested outside Parliament, and they are accused of trying to disrupt the King's speech. Thank you to Dave Nathan for his coverage from the scene, and it shows Metropolitan Police officers on the Embankment Gardens on Wednesday morning surrounding the protesters as they chanted, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." Further officers rolled up any flags that were Palestinian and packed away audio equipment and microphones and dismantled a pro-Palestinian banner. City of London police were also present at the park, and in a statement by Scotland Yard, they said there is a significant presence ahead of the state opening of Parliament, and last week Youth Demand said they plan to disrupt the event. An hour ago we arrested 10 of them in Westminster on suspicion of conspiracy to cause public nuisance. They also said a further 20 were arrested outside the Embankment Gardens, and further arrests will be made if needed. In relation to the reason as to why they were arrested, you have to really look at the arrest wording. It says suspicion of conspiracy, so this means that there is no actual plot or evidence solely that they did anything or were planning to directly or imminently do anything, but it's the suspicion of this, and this is the way that protest laws have changed, where the police can arrest people now simply on suspicion of thinking about something. They don't actually have to proactively go and do it, they just need to have the thought or suspect them of doing it. So I really look forward to hearing what the viewers have to say on that story, and please don't forget to drop a comment below and like to support the video. In this next story coming from South London in Peckham, detectives investigating the murder of a man who died in a shooting are appealing for information. Jesse Lloyd Smith, 20 years old, was shot in East Surrey Grove in SE15 shortly before 5 p.m. on Wednesday the 10th of July. Emergency services rushed to the scene and Jesse was taken to hospital, but despite the best efforts of medical staff, they were unable to save his life and he died the following day. Jesse's family have been supported by specially trained police. Detective Inspector Alex Gamma Pillar from the Metropolitan Crime Command said, "Our investigation into Jesse's murder continues at pace as we piece together the events leading up to his murder. They are appealing for anybody that was in the local area who has any information in relation to it. There have been no arrests as of yet, and the inquiries are ongoing. So please pay respects in the comments, and we'll definitely keep you updated on any arrests, charges or trials that follow on from this case." And in this next story coming from Finsbury Park in North London, Dave Nathan attended the scene of the murder of Ahmed Habib. He was 19 years old and was murdered at 10 to 3 on Thursday the 11th of July in Tollington Road. Kevin Parage, 23 years old, has been now charged after he was arrested on the 16th of July on suspicion of murder. Parage was remanded in custody at Uxbridge Magistrates Court on the 18th of July, where he was further remanded and next appears at the Old Bailey on the 22nd of July. Police were called to Stroud Green Road at the junction of Tollington Park at 10 to 3 in the morning, and officers London Ambulance Service and medics from the Air Ambulance also attended. They found Ahmed suffering from stab wounds, and despite the best efforts of emergency services, he was pronounced dead at the scene. So due to the fact that somebody has been charged with this case, we'll no longer be able to discuss this until after the trial, but we'll definitely keep you updated on the outcome. Earlier in the month as well, a murder took place on the 6th of July, when police were called at 3 o'clock to Waltham Forest after reports that a man was stabbed. Officers in the London Ambulance Service and Air Ambulance arrived, and despite their best efforts, a 33-year-old man died at the scene. His next of kin have been informed and are being supported by specially trained police. A post-mortem examination is due to take place, and a crime scene remained there, and a knife was recovered. The latest update in that story is that a man has been charged. Rene Graham, 29 years old from Edmonton, was charged on the 10th of July with the murder of Josh McKay, who was the victim that was later identified. He was also charged with possession of a bladed article and appeared on the 10th of July at Highbury Corner Magistrates Court, and a further 38-year-old woman was arrested on suspicion of assisting an offender. So rest in peace to Josh McKay, and we'll definitely keep you updated on the outcome of that trial. And please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Peace.
Is this going to be cleared by tomorrow? Because, you know...
Okay, little park and then you can walk this corner on the left side.
What's it?